most of the time, PR is normally through media, whereby for you even to convey a message or portray a specific message to the public, you'll find out that most of the time media will play a key role, okay? And the choice of this media will also reach a certain maybe category of people that you're targeting. Like for example, if you want your message to reach a lot of people at the same time, maybe you might choose maybe the media that is normally conversant with the public. Like for example, when you mention Citizen TV, a lot of people use that media maybe in terms of advertisement, in terms of marketing, in terms of, even if it is maybe a public press by the president, or maybe if it is a public press maybe by a certain maybe department of the government and so on. So you'll find that they will have to make sure that they choose these medias depending on the kind of message that they want to portray. And some of these factors that influence the choice of media, especially in terms of PR, it is maybe the objective of the campaign. Okay, this one is mainly maybe, for example, if let's say maybe if you want maybe you're coming up with a different product in the market, and you want it to reach various categories of people, then maybe you'll choose a kind of media that is normally really conversant with most people. Like for example, you might choose maybe to use maybe the televisions, okay? And maybe for example, if it is maybe you're targeting the youth, maybe then you can be able to use maybe the YouTube, you can use maybe Facebook, and so on. So basically the objective of the campaign is the one that will be able to determine which kind of media and PR are you going to actually discuss about. And remember also in the factors affecting the choice of this media, we can also talk about the budget available. You can never go, especially for example, if you're talking about you trying to broadcast your messages, maybe or your program in the television, it's normally expensive. Okay, even in a radio station, it's normally expensive. Even maybe it normally goes in terms of money, in terms of minutes, whereby you find that if it is something that goes for like 1 second, or maybe let's say 5 seconds, or maybe 5 minutes and so on, so you'll find that the 5-second ones, maybe it can cost 50,000, okay? And the one that is maybe taking around 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it can even go up to 1 million, okay? So you remember nowadays, the media sector is actually not doing well. Right now, you can see what K24 is doing, Citizen TV is really firing a lot of employees. I think everyone has heard about that in the media. And also you find that the reason as to why, you might even wonder, why do they need to fire, their employees, and they are not affected by this pandemic and so on. Most of the time, the media relies on the advertisement. That's how they get their money, okay? So if you go and maybe promote or advertise or market your products, that's how they generate their revenue, okay? So right now, companies are not, marketing. Right now, companies are not promoting their products. If you notice, most of the televisions are not doing that, okay? And most of the companies are not doing that. For example, who has seen any advert of Zitec University lately? Anyone? Doreen, have you seen an advert of Zitec?
Yeah.
Where?
the television when the advertising for the those who want to join ZTech.
When was that?
May last
Lately.
May.
Really? Which television was that?
Even.
Okay, me have not seen. Anyone else who has seen that advert? Robinson has also not seen. Jacqueline, have you seen?
No.
Ken?
No.
Doreen, maybe you are the only one who has seen that advert. Remember, most of the time, mostly, especially before this pandemic, Zitec University was actually advertising itself well, especially with the intake of May, August. Okay, so you noted that also the pandemic has also affected us as a company and as an institution, and we are not taking our adverts no longer to maybe to Citizen TV or any other TV. Okay, maybe most of the advert nowadays we try to go cost free. Okay, maybe we can use Facebook or use YouTube or use channels whereby at least we are not paying money for it. Okay, so you notice that Citizen TV was also getting money out of Zitec University through the advertisements. Okay, so right now it is not happening. So you find that the TV, actually media in general, we might say, nowadays, no adverts, no commercials, unless it is companies who are trying, who has the muscles, okay? They have already budgeted for such. So that's why you'll find that it will kick out most of the employees out of the jobs because they cannot sustain them, they cannot be able to pay for them, and so on. So this COVID-19 is actually affecting almost all the companies, okay? All the companies are actually on their knees. So there's no company that is actually surviving at the moment. Very few that are trying to manage through. So the budget available actually determines. You notice that if you're going to advertise maybe your program in the TV, then it is very costly. It is really expensive, and if you manage to do that, then maybe your business is really doing well. And if your budget does not allow that, maybe you'll try maybe using cheaper ways. Maybe, for example, you go maybe in terms of maybe YouTube, maybe you pay a few coins, at least they advertise you, and maybe try maybe Instagram, come up maybe with, other channels whereby at least you can be able to advertise yourself, or maybe go to radio if your budget can allow that. So the budget is very critical in terms of the choice of the media that you're going to use to broadcast maybe your PR information. And we can talk about media being classified by audience. Maybe you can help me with that, especially, for example, is there a media that is related maybe with a specific audience? A media that is related with a specific audience? Do you have examples? Doreen, your mic is on, so maybe you can just tell us.
Pardon?
I'm asking whether is there maybe a media that is related to a specific audience.
I have no idea.
Okay, like for example, media is actually general, so is either through broadcasting, through publishing, through the internet. So as long as you can be able to relay your message, okay, it's through any means of mass communication is what we call media, okay? So if I just mention media, of course, it is any mass of communication. Maybe we can say about the radios, we can talk about the TVs, we can talk about maybe the internet and so on. So maybe through the choice of the audience, like for example, if you're talking about maybe the newspapers, okay, which kind of audience normally can you target through the newspapers? Because there are people who market even through the newspapers. Zitec University actually does even through the newspapers, okay? So Esther, you have an example? Doreen?
No.
Doreen, we are not getting you. What about you, Esther? Do you like it's actually obvious. If you're marketing through the newspaper, through publications, then definitely you are targeting
Hello?
maybe you're targeting the maybe like for example the older generation, for instance. Now even today, when you can be able to get e-newspapers, you can notice that some people even don't get the digital newspapers. They will go ahead and pay and get a hard copy of that newspaper and go read. Maybe some of our parents or our grandparents do that. So it depends with the kind of audience you are targeting at the end of the day. So if, for example, maybe you are selling
Hello?
plots of land, for instance, or you are
Yeah.
selling maybe cars. Yes, Doreen, you are saying something.
No.
Okay, then mute your mic. So you'll notice that. Doreen, mute your mic. So you'll notice that most of the So you'll notice that most of the time when we are talking about maybe the type of audiences, whereby you will notice that the kind of media choice will also depend with the audience, okay? Like for example, if it is maybe you are selling maybe plots of land or you're selling maybe the cars and so on, then definitely you will be able to target maybe a certain audience, and that audience maybe you're getting the older generation, okay, people who can be able to buy the magazine, go through it and get, especially if it is the tenders, most of the companies buy because the tenders are normally advertised through the newspapers and so on. So there is maybe a certain category of audience which is normally targeted. So if, for example, I want to maybe to be able to market maybe electronics and so on, the young generation, you included, you will always maybe get to this maybe adverts through Facebook, YouTube, and so on, depending on exactly where the target is, okay, who the audience which is targeted is. So most of the time, none of us, to be specific, goes and buys newspapers unless you are sent to buy, okay? None of us can be able to go and pay for these newspapers because there is no any information that is targeted for you. So it's purely politics. Maybe most of the time it's about maybe things that are coming up, and maybe if they are tenders, if they are big businesses, and of course big businesses require big money, and so the people who are even able to to do these businesses are of course our parents or our the older generation, okay? They have the resources to do that. So you will never find this kind of audience in maybe YouTube. You can never find them in Facebook. it will be so odd of you to find your father, through Facebook or YouTube. You'll even wonder, okay, which generation are you? It will actually feel weird, okay, when you see them. They are in such using such media, okay. But if you see them with the newspapers, you actually feel like they are actually normal parents and so on. So the type of audience will definitely affect the choice of the media that is going to be used. Okay, and also I think I've touched a bit about also the product that is being, in terms of also explaining about the type of audience. So also the product that you are going to market also determines, okay, like for example, I say if it is you are selling about maybe tenders, plots of land, you are selling real estate, then you're targeting the older generation who has the money. So you'll use the newspapers or maybe sometimes use the TVs. But rarely will you see older people, seated at the TVs. And, if they want news, they will always buy the newspapers and, of course, see other things in results, which they already know that they are going to be published there. And also the PR people know already that this is actually the older generation, this is where we can be able to find them, okay. And if, of course, you are selling things about gaming and you're selling electronics, you are selling things about fashion and so on, then definitely you will target maybe a channel which maybe that can be able to target maybe the young people, because the young people are into maybe cosmetics, they are into beauty, they are into gaming, and they are into electronics and so on. So you'll use the Facebook, use the YouTubes, use any other social media that that maybe the younger audience is at, okay. So another maybe a factor that is affecting the choice of the media is also the type of message or the selling appeal. And remember, for example, if you want, especially in a hospitality industry, this the kind of maybe services that we have, most of them are maybe advertised using maybe the TV. Okay, you'll notice that most of the time, because we sell the experience, so we have to show a lot of images and so on. Long are the days when we used to, take pictures and post them maybe in the newspapers or the magazines and so on. Nowadays, people just want maybe pictures in motion, okay. They want the videos, they want to see actually the kind of fun that someone can be able to go through. They just want to see the entire visual, okay. Their target is just how am I going to feel, or how are other people feeling. So you tend to feel like whatever the other person has felt is what I will be able to feel, okay. So this is just like, trying to play with the psychological needs of a person, especially if you're selling something that involves a service. So basically, if it is a hotel that you want to maybe advertise, then a television is good for you, so that at least when someone is just going to see the images, see the videos, they are going to maybe want to buy the services or come to your hotel. And also maybe using YouTube, any other media that can be able to show those videos is going to work for you. So there are so many factors that are affecting, of course. So I think we have talked about the cost, about the messages. Let's see. And also maybe we can talk about the potential market, okay? So just remember that when you're talking about the market, the specific market, of course, that you're targeting is the specific maybe customers, okay? The market actually involves the customers who are going maybe to buy the product or the services that you're going to sell. So of course, you'll always market where, like for example, if it is in towns, then definitely, if you're situated most of the time in towns, then definitely you'll focus more on the latest maybe modes of communication that are there. Talk about the YouTube, talk about the television. But if you are, maybe your target market is around, maybe for example, in our in our rural areas, okay, you'll notice that having a TV there, nobody has time for the TVs. Even our grandparents, they can't even, most of the time, the only time that they will watch the TV is during maybe the news time. And you'll notice that during the news is when you find them seated there and watching the news. But any other time, people are in their shambas, they are in their plots of land, making sure that they are planting, or maybe they are they are maybe taking care of their cattle and so on. So this kind of, you can't use this media targeting that you have already, maybe for example, opened a company there, and you are targeting, maybe you are using maybe YouTube, you're using Facebook, you're using all these kind of media. Of course, the potential market there is a wrong potential market. At the end of the day, nobody is going to know about your product. But if you use the radios, okay, if you use the radios, then you'll find that, okay, your message will reach almost everyone at that area. You use your radio, people carry their radios to the shamba. They work with their radios, even if they are maybe cultivating the land, they will be with their radios. If they are taking care of their cattle, they are with their radios. So people even move with their radios. Everyone can be able to relate with this. When you go up country, you'll always see, people with the radios with their hands. So if you use this media, if your peer is able to realize that, okay, a potential market, and if you're targeting such kind of people, then this is the right kind of media to be able to utilize. So then you can be able to make your advertisements through the radio, and it is going to reach your target market at the end of the day. So those are some of the factors that are affecting, and of course I just wanted us to talk about the time is almost up. So I wanted to talk about the functions of the PR department. Maybe I can just use less than 5 minutes to discuss about this. So the functions of the PR department. Remember, last time we talked about the functions of PR in relations to how PR is used in terms of maybe relationships, okay? Maybe relationships with the employees. How do you use the PR, okay? PR in general. But what is the function of a PR department? Why should you have a PR department in the first place? Number one, its main function, we can talk about research. Research is very important because you cannot be able to know which product or service to be able to put across to your consumers if you really don't know what they need. And remember, in marketing, I think, have you done marketing? Have you done marketing?
Yes, last semester.
Okay, you did marketing. Then you'll notice that marketing, of course, yes, I note that Doreen, you said that you have a class at 2 p.m. So just give me 5 minutes and then maybe we can wind up. So it's just that today we had a lot of activities. So research is very important. You have to know exactly what the customers need, and of course try to fulfill their need. And before even you get their need, you'll always try to do a research, okay? And this research, of course, you'll be able to use the PR people to be able, to talk to the consumers, and they will tell you exactly this is what we need, and maybe they will tell you maybe the challenges they are having with a similar product, and maybe you can be able to improve in your product, and maybe the customers will be able to buy. Another one is, of course, advising the management. Advising the management, this one we have talked about it most of the time, because the PR people are the ones who make sure that at least the management knows what to say and when to say, and how to even react before the public in case of a crisis or in case of any other thing that may involve, bad attitudes to the people. Okay, so there is no way that a PR person can allow, maybe if they are in the department, they can be able to allow maybe a public figure to just go public and talk the way they want. They will always advise them on exactly what they are supposed to do. Okay, so, and of course they will be able to, they are also involved in terms of production. I said that they work hand in hand with the marketing people, and also ensuring that at least whatever product that is being is taken to the public is actually a product that is acceptable, okay? Something that the public can be able to accept. And of course, if it is something that they are developing, it is something that also fits the needs of the people. So they are very much involved in terms of production. And lastly, I think I can talk about, they will always have to make sure they plan, okay? They plan each and every type of maybe communication that is going to be relayed out, maybe in terms of maybe the timing of the programs. They come up with objectives, they come up, with the whole PR program. Like, for example, if if there is a press conference for the president or a prominent person, then you'll find them that they are, the ones who organize everything. They make sure that at the end of the day, then they have chosen the right media who are going to maybe to cover the event. They will be able to make sure that the stage is prepared. They will make sure that maybe the person who is going to talk on that day, maybe if it is the VC or the CEO, or if it is the president, they are well equipped with the right information. They are the ones actually who go ahead and even write for them the messages, okay? So they make sure that they have already organized all this to ensure that everything runs smooth. So everything that goes is done before even the speech, then this is the work of the PR. So they do a lot of planning. And also, lastly, is about providing comprehensive information system. So they make sure that at the end of the day, they have researched well, okay? So if it is about maybe it is in terms of maybe some biographies of the important people who are going to come into the event, or maybe the heads of department or principals of other functions and so on. So they will make sure that at least they have gone through their biographies. They have known that maybe, for example, this is a very influential person. This is a person who is going to add value to the opening of the event that is going to happen, or maybe changing the perception of the public and so on. So basically, they make sure at least they have done their background check on the most important people maybe that are going to come to a certain event, or maybe are going to influence maybe the of a certain product and so on. So I think I can wind up on that, and maybe from the next sessions we will try to continue from where we have stopped. So any questions that you might be having for today? Any questions? And your mic is on.
I don't know.
And your mic is on. So it is open for everyone. Maybe if you have any comments, if you have any questions, you can be able to tell me as we wind up. Doreen?